You know, it's been a long time since I put out like one of those vlog tutorials, so I think today's gonna be a good one. Let's talk about some simple tips just to make your clips, your videos, a little more interesting. So first and foremost, I want to give a caveat and just say that I am by no means a professional editor. However, I have been in the Final Cut Pro scape for like 12 years. And I've been editing on and off for a good solid 12 years. And so there are some things that I've noticed that you can do, like really simple tips to make your videos, just clips, way more engaging, way more interesting. And that's what I want to address. So these are just some little things that I notice in videos sometimes that people leave out. The little details make all the difference. And number one is to cut in the action. Now what happens a lot of times, I see people will cut and then they will start the action, right? Like maybe they're drinking a cup of coffee, they'll cut there and then they'll take a sip of coffee. If you cut in that action of actually lifting it rather than starting to, if it's in the middle of while you're doing that, it just makes that clip all the more believable and engaging. If I just take off with the one wheel, it's boring, but if I cut the clip while I'm going, it just creates a lot more energy in the scene. See, the thing is, if I cut that clip before I start going, it's a slow takeoff. But if I cut while I'm in motion, the whole scene changes, the whole feel of it changes. See, what we're trying to achieve is pull the audience, pull the viewer into the scene itself. We don't want them sitting outside of the video. We want them to be a part of the video. By, cutting into the action, you might feel like you're losing something, but you're actually gaining because you're immediately pulling them into what's going on rather than their brain waiting for it to start. And even though it's just a millisecond delay, that creates such a disconnect in our brain. I love a good consecutive series of clips that goes from maybe walking from one room to the next or around the corner. But to do that, you have to do it very carefully, and by cutting before you leave the scene rather than after, it creates a sense of flow. It creates like this liquidity between all the different clips. Even though they may be in different rooms, different angles or whatever, it creates a really smooth sense of motion. This is another one of those things that is really subtle, but if you notice it and you do it right, it makes each scene just flow so smoothly. However, if we don't cut it in time and we leave that little extra couple millisecond delay there going into the next frame, it just disconnects. Your brain stops and it's like, okay, well this scene feels like it doesn't match up with the next scene. What I found out throughout the years of editing is that it's all about the subtlety and it's all about the timing. By the way, my pizza shirts, I have multiples. I don't wear the same one every day. I really don't. So if you're like me and you're very inquisitive, the next question that brings up is, well, what is the proper timing? How long do I leave something on a scene? How long do I leave a clip hanging? And that really depends on what you're trying to get across. If you're trying to come across as something that's kind of comical, sometimes you might want to leave that scene bare for a little bit longer so that you can get that cricket feel, the cricket, 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 like something's left there that should be there, but it's just not. That works in horror as well. For most videos, for most like vlogs, anything you're doing like that, you really want to have those clips timed pretty effectively, pretty efficiently, so that you're not leaving the viewer hanging, because the longer that they stay on a scene and nothing's happening, the more of a disconnect it builds up unto the next scene. Unto? That's really weird. Why would I say that? I'm like 103. But there is something really cool in how you time your scenes, and it is based on the fact that our minds, as we watch something, want to be a part of that and complete it. We don't want all the answers given to us. As we watch something, we want to be able to figure it out, and as we figure it out, we're satisfied with what we're watching. Our minds need that. They need to be able to turn the gears and figure out little things. And one thing that I've noticed Casey Neistat does a lot is that he leads off a lot of his work. Cutting those words off at the end gives our minds just a tiny bit of satisfaction to go ahead and complete that next sentence into the next shot. It's genius in a lot of ways, because even though we don't perceive it, what it's doing is building this level of satisfaction in our minds, because we're actually becoming part of his vlogs, finishing off his... A good editor once said that editing is less about putting things together and more about the discovery of a path. And that's what it amounts to. That's the only way that you can know how to time something, when to cut something, is based on the discovery of a path. You may have to go through 4 or 5 different rough cuts to figure out what really works. But trying those things out, I think, will really increase, the engagement, the interestingness, if that's a word, of your clips. And once you put those all together, it becomes a cohesive story rather than just clips trying to tell a story. And that's what it's all about. It's about pulling together each little section to make a story. It's not about telling part of the story here, part of the story there, part of the story there. It's about taking that entire selection of clips and making that into something cohesive. That's the only way that you can get people to engage. And with vlogs, documentaries, even talking head things, those all will work. Try those out, see what you think. Drop a comment down below if there's something that I missed. I'd love to hear your tips. I mean, I need them too, right? I'm M. Hyatt, that's Hyatt like the hotel, and I'll see you tomorrow. Dear viewers and subscribers, my view retention is really good. We're getting a lot of comments, but you guys are forgetting to hit like. I really need you to just go ahead and hit like on this video right now. It makes a huge difference in how this channel is promoted through YouTube, and it also tells me whether or not you actually really like this content. So hit the like, hit that subscribe, and just hit that bell. Those buttons, they make a difference in the channel, in my growth, in my creatorship. Thanks.